Welcome to Your Ink Story, a podcast exploring what humans have in common through the stories behind the body art folks wear. I'm your host, Ande Lyons, and I hope these INKspirational short stories, sharing the heart behind tattoos, fascinate you and leave you feeling more meaningfully connected to humanity. This is Season 1, Episode 21, and our guest, Savanna Poirier, shares her fascinating tattoo stories and takes us on an inspirational journey through the art that adorns her body. From her first tattoo that symbolizes a mantra she lives by, to the memorial tattoo honoring a loved one, the gorgeous owl on an arm sleeve, and the stunning back tattoo that took years to complete, Savanna's stories will leave you captivated. Welcome to Your Ink Story, Savanna. I'm so delighted you're here to share your ink stories. Please let folks know where you're from and how you glow in the world.
Thank you so much for having me today. I am delighted to be a guest on your show. I'm a big fan. I follow you. I love what you share. I think it's going to be an honor to join you and your listeners today. But you can find me in Denver, Colorado. I'm a Colorado native and grew up here. My family's from up north. And how I glow in the world, I am kind of behind the scenes of podcasting. I like to connect people with hosts like yourself and help facilitate awesome conversations behind the scenes. So the past almost 3 years I've been working for Kitcaster and loving the opportunity just to get to network with awesome folks like yourself.
Well, and you live in a beautiful part of the world. Denver, Colorado is so much fun. Savanna, let's begin with your tattoo origin story. What originally inspired you to wear body art and why you put it where you did, and what did you put on that beautiful body of yours?
Yeah, that's a great question. My origin story was, I think it really went with, I'm a younger sister, and I was always trying to develop my own identity as like me, myself, and I. Not Sam's little sister, even though now I lean into it. She's an amazing person, and I'm like, I'm Sam's sister. But back in my teen years, I was looking for anything that could differentiate me, and body art was definitely one of those forms. I started getting more piercings as I was 16 and 17, and then finally I convinced my mom, it's time. I think you should come with me. And she agreed, and she was like, okay. I think she was more worried I would go and get something not official. So I'll take you to a shop. It'll be a clean setup, and we'll do it. And it was one of those, I call them Pinterest tattoos now, but where you point and you're like, I want this, and they'll print it off on Word. And it's evolved now to, I have a full back piece, a full sleeve, and it's always like, what's next? I don't know if I'll ever feel fulfilled in my tattoo journey. I think that's what's beautiful about it. It's kind of an ever working project.
That's right. An ever working a body of art. And kudos to mom for saying not
Right?
only yes, but I'll go with you. Let me help you
Yeah.
pick out a place. Oh, that is such wonderful mom vibes, right, listeners?
Yeah.
Overseeing
No.
your 17-year-old daughter's tattoo. You don't want to, say no. You get that this is an identity thing for her. But now you have a little bit of control and say, like, oh, honey, are you sure you want that one? Or what makes your
Yes.
heart sing about that one? And try to influence the decision. And
Yes.
and we've heard stories, right, listeners, of parents and their kids going to get tattoos together. I love
Yeah.
that mom was on board in the beginning. So what did you get for your first tattoo?
My very first tattoo is on my right foot, and I just thought foot was so cool. It was easy to convince my mom it's always going to be covered up. It's not going to hinder me from a job. No one will see it at school. Like, it's low under the radar, but it says no regrets. And I got it when I was 17. It's in the traditional script font on Word doc that you could look up, but it's a funny tattoo for me now. I've actually looked into getting it covered up. I've looked into getting in the cover up. It's like thick black. They're like, you actually are going to need some sessions of removal. And I was like,
Whoa.
you know what? I'm
Yeah.
good on this one. And now it's funny because I have evolved into these pieces of work that are commissioned by artists that now it's like, yeah, look at how we've come. Look how far
And
we've
and
come.
what did no regrets mean to you? back at the
Uh,
age of 17.
yeah, right? It's kind of interesting. I feel like at that point in my life, I was just digging my heels into this is who I am. I don't regret any of my decisions. I'm going to walk forward into the world as I graduated high school with my chest out and just not I don't know, not take any crap from anyone was kind
There
of
you
my,
go. No,
and
it's
kind of rebellious.
emancipation. Here we go. No regrets, or as we like to say in the ski world, black diamonds only, okay?
Yeah, yes, exactly. It's like, "Send it. Tips down, you got it." Yeah, it's exactly, and it's funny now how it's evolved, but yeah, I'm keeping it for life. It's not
Hey,
going
listen,
anywhere.
we all know that women who follow the rules don't make history.
That's exactly
So
right.
I'm all over the no regrets. And so as you evolved and grew more fully into your goddess nature, how did you start getting more serious about your tattoos? And listeners, you have to hop on over to Instagram to tell me your ink story. That's the handle to see Savanna's incredible master ink work on her body. What caused you to evolve into, all right, forget the Pinterest, I'll take that stencil there, to I want art from artists who know how to tattoo?
It was actually at the same shop that I got my no regrets tattooed at. I found an artist, and it was kind of this shift of going in for the availability as opposed to seeking out the artist and then kind of filling it in from there. So it shifted for me. My dad got me a book called It's the Last Lecture, and I loved it. And I think he got it for me when I was in like my early 20s, and our family's a big cribbage family. So I wanted to get this hand of cribbage. It's the highest hand you can score in cribbage. It's 29 points. And I got a quote from the book, and it just really resonated with me. I'm a really sentimental, like, I don't know. I'm holding onto this book forever. My dad gave it to me, and it just like represented my family. I'm like, and I don't know, Colorado cribbage is not as popular as like up north, I want to say, but I was just feeling so like proud to represent this like piece of my family,
Is that
and
the
so that was
is that the Grippin' and Rippin' one? Which one is
that's
the
another
cribbage
one.
one?
I think I need to send you that one. I don't even know if I sent it to you. I'll follow up with it. It's
Oh
on
my
my
god.
rib page,
And
and it
so
goes
is
on my
it the
rib page.
board itself with pegs?
It's the card deck. It
Okay.
has the, you know how you split the card and you have the top card and then your hand. So it has
Yeah.
all the cards and then the quotes in between it. I'll be sure to send you a follow-up email on it.
Oh, that would be great. Because
Yeah.
I'm looking at an image, listeners, that Savannah sent me. It looks like it's on your left ankle, maybe. And it
Yeah.
says Grippin' and Rippin', and then has Ben, and then has 1 and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What is this?
Yeah, that's another great one. That was one I actually did with my dad and his very first tattoo, his only tattoo. He has the exact same one. It was it was kind of a memorial tattoo, unfortunately, for my cousin Benjamin. He was in a really bad accident and he died when he was 19.
Oh, I'm
And
so
we
sorry.
Thank you. Yeah, it was hard, and we grew up riding dirt bikes together all the time, and we actually had an appointment to get this tattoo together. And so it is it's the gear shift pattern of a dirt bike. So it's one's down, neutral, and then you click up from there. And we have KTM, so we have 6 gears in our bikes. And when he passed, it kind of turned into this. So I was like, well, I'm still getting this tattoo for sure. And
Yeah.
yeah, my dad's always been really chill about my artwork on my body. I wasn't crazy about my younger age ones, but especially my more artwork ones. He was like, "Yeah, do you think I could get that?" And I was like, "I will make it happen, Dad."
No regrets.
Yeah, exactly. And,
Well, let's talk about
so
what your sleeve came first or your back
my
tattoo.
back came first. So my
Okay.
back was like my first big, more than one session. I'm coming back, and it took me almost 2.5 years. And it's kind of funny. I found this piece of artwork actually on Pinterest of all places. It was a big canvas print, and it was of this lioness, and she had a crown on and birds and feathers, and I was just like drew to the power that it had. I loved it, and I was like, I want this on my back. And it was actually for a cover up. That if you look at my back, it goes all the way down onto my right butt cheek, and
Mhm.
I had a pair of lips. That was another one of my 18, 19-year-old tattoos. Me and my friend at the time went in and I'm like, I'm gonna get your lips on my butt and you're gonna get your lips on, and we thought it was like the funniest thing. And we kissed a piece of paper and he stamped it on and tattooed it. So I turned 25 and was like, it's time. And it was so funny when I started doing that cover up, everyone in the shop, I would go every 4 weeks. I had the fourth Friday of every month blocked off on his calendar.
Who's the artist, by the way?
Yeah, so my back was done by Nathan Adsit. I went to high school with Nathan. He was always a very talented artist in high school, and we were still friends outside of school, and I was watching him start to apprentice in tattoos. And then he asked me one time, I need skin, Savannah. And I was like, I got some. And it was his fourth tattoo. He put a bow tie on my hip, and I thought it was so cool. But now looking back at it, I love it and I rock it proud. But yeah, I think he's at All Sacred Tattoo now, but he was at White Lotus Tattoo. It's down in Centennial. That's where I did my whole back. But he's still in Northern Colorado and still doing an awesome job. But I showed him this piece of this lion head, and it was my first one, just like, I want something like this. But
And listeners, you will see this, but let's describe it a little. First of all, the lioness has a crown's tiara that is so gorgeous. Plus, she's sporting some beautiful eyelashes, I just want to say. She's very feminine looking. And there are beautiful red flowers, lilies, maybe.
yeah, so I had a mixture of them. I had some pink lilies in there, and then I had some mountain bluebells. Those are for my sister. Anytime we're in the mountains, we're always sending pictures of the bluebells together. And then there's some black-eyed Susans for my mom.
Yeah.
But I was just integrating little things of my family for her.
Peacock
And
feathers.
yeah, the peacock feathers, I loved those. And I was like, let's do one of different colors, just to like switch it up. And then as it goes down, it goes on to my hip, and the cover up is a bird. And actually, the lips are in the tail of the bird. You would never know it, but that's where the
No.
actual cover up was. But it's hilarious because it's this little tiny thing, and they're like a cover up. Wow, great sale. He did
So
good.
gorgeous. And I love that the paw of the lioness is out there. Why is that?
When I picture it, it was like just kind of a proud stance, like when you think of lion, it almost that like Sphinx pose
Yeah.
of shoulders back. I just loved it. And it was the first artist where I'm like, I want these flowers, I want some of these colors. I had this color wheel where you got to pick colors that worked well together and were pleasing to the eye. And then there was a good percentage of it. I threw it in his hands and I let him run with it. And it's crazy when I hear myself tell myself, like, hear it out loud, but it actually is part of the process that I really do enjoy. Is like that relationship that you form with the artist, and then trusting that they're taking it from there and they've got you. And Nathan executed it so perfectly. And I get a lot of compliments on my back, whether I'm wearing a low cut back shirt or
Right.
swimsuit. People are of all ages, which I love more than anything when folks are with their kids and they're commenting on it. I'm like, yes, yes, I know. Thank you.
Well,
But
and what I love about the lioness is that I feel like she's saying, I've got your back. And I love how her paw is down at the lower part of your back in the center. It's like when someone puts their hand in that lower part of our back, we feel like, okay, we're not alone.
yeah, yeah. And
And
it was,
that's what the
it was,
vibe I get from that as well. And you said it took over 2 years to do this?
yeah. So I would book his Fridays. We probably skipped about 4 months total over the
Mhm.
duration of 2 years. It was every fourth Friday. And we'd just go sit down. And that's where it also really turned into like a therapeutic thing for me.
Yeah.
It was like a routine that I was really able to control my mind and know it was coming.
Right.
And it was also a very transitional time in my life. And it was just what I needed. And I didn't know I needed, but at the time it was very therapeutic for me to be able to just shut everything off. You can't move. You're like
Right.
focusing on your
It
breath.
why was it a transitional time?
I started it when I was 25, and
Mhm.
I was in a pretty wicked accident when I was 24.
Oh, I'm
And I
sorry.
was, I
What
mean,
happened?
I was in an ATV accident with my friends, and
Oh,
I mean, stupid decisions. I had to be airlifted out of the Poudre Canyon,
oh,
and it was just wicked. I flatlined a few times, and I was in ICU and
Oh,
I broke my back
Savannah.
and I had a plate in my arm. I degloved my head, so I woke up and I was completely bald and I had a whole bunch of staples. I mean, it was wicked. I shouldn't be alive, and it's a miracle, and I'm so thankful for the fact that I'm able to come here and share my story. But I think more like thinking about a lion, they're like a symbol of strength, but lionesses are, I feel like, stronger. They're holding the
Right,
family down. They're the
right.
ones hunting for the cubs. I feel like it was just something I could
Mhm.
really process what I had gone through, but then also really leaning into this beautiful artwork I was getting in as a result of it, putting in the time.
Well, I am so glad that you are safe and sound today and with us. And can I just give your parents a big hug, especially after what happened to the nephew, Ben? They must
Yeah.
have been so frightened. So, mom and dad, good job. Parenting, it's not easy.
Yeah, they've been through it and I'm so fortunate for him and my sister. We are a strong family and
Oh,
we've gone through a lot. So there's little subtle hints of my sister and my mom, and
yeah.
it's just
It's just
people who
beautiful.
really.
And those peacock feathers bring some royalty to it as well. And their colors and yet a softness. It's just a beautiful piece of art. How old is this art now? How long have you had it?
So I started it in 2017. I ended it
Okay.
in
Yeah.
January of 2019 because
Yeah.
then right, it was so crazy. I finished my last appointment with Nathan, and then a week later I flew to LA and I got to get a tattoo from a guy named Travis Ross, who was at Enigma Tattoo in LA, which is a really cool shop. It's the first female black owned shop in LA. And I mean, she has amazing artists. I mean, you talk about seeking out the artists, people fly from all over to be tattooed by some of those folks. And Travis is actually the cousin to my boyfriend. So I had an in, and Matt was showing me all his work, and I was like, oh my gosh, he's really talented. And so I remember I just hit him up on Instagram. It's kind of wild when I think about back to my no regrets days. You would go in and flip through their book, but now you can really shop artists globally because you can see the
That's right.
walking canvases through, and even your show. I mean, you're promoting it, and it's really amazing what we can get on our bodies. If you want to, you can travel
That's
across
right.
the world.
And listeners, hop on over and be sure to follow Tell Me Your Ink Story on Instagram and on TikTok too, because I'm always sharing incredible artists of all kinds, whether they're going to be doing emos or they're doing horror or they're doing pets. Oh my gosh, or beautiful meaningful pieces of art, cube art, or Van Gogh like art. It's just inspirational to see the artists out there and all the beauty they're bringing to body art and their talent. I know you still can go in and choose a stencil off the wall or off of Pinterest, but a lot of folks are really into the art behind this. And so the reason I asked how long it had been, because how was the color holding up? And a lot of folks talk about, oh, well, I should say the traditionalists in
Mhm.
tattoo world, oh, those colors are going to fade, is what I hear. How are they
Yeah.
holding up?
They're doing good. I'm kind of crazy about my SPF here in Denver just because you have to be. We're so close to the sun, but yeah, my back, I'm always putting on sunscreen because over the years, I don't feel like it's faded much, if
I think
any.
that's
So
wonderful.
yeah,
I had to ask
it's
that
really.
question because I see it so often on the comments and Instagram. And so I wanted to do a little shout out to color. And I'll
Yeah.
have to have someone on to talk about how you can refresh color on a tattoo, if that's even possible. And so you moved on to the sleeve. When did the sleeve start?
So I got my owl in LA in the beginning of 2019.
Okay.
And my plan was to make it this fun trip to go out in LA. I was paying for Travis's whole day. One of my longest sessions was on my owl. It was almost 10 hours, but I was like, I have a flight tomorrow, so we're finishing him. Like, I don't wanna come home with like half an owl. And we rocked into the night, and it was really fun. We were watching Bob Ross reruns. I mean, we were doing everything to kill the time, but, it
But
was really fun.
but how did you handle the pain for that long? Some people say they get twitchy, they can only handle
Yeah.
so much, they need a break. But for you, what was it like?
It's just a good time to control your mind. I mean, it's like the one time you're like literally, I don't want to say stuck. I mean, you could get up and not like trapped
Yeah.
there, but in my mind, I'm like, I need to be still as possible, being a good client and sitting. And I remember we broke once and went and got some wings, but other than that, it was like just,
And I'm thinking about the artist's poor wrist and hands.
yeah,
I mean, they've been at it for that
yes.
long. He has to be tired. Give me some iBoo, please.
Yeah, yes, yeah. So it was pretty wild, but my boyfriend was just sitting there. I was like, "Go walk around. We're literally in Beverly Hills right now. Like, go walk around." And
Oh,
he
the
was like, "No,
swanky
it's
part of
okay."
LA.
Yeah, yeah. And he was like, "No, it's okay." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, you're crazy.
It's
You're just gonna
another
sit
world.
here?" Yeah.
Go outside and look
Yeah.
around.
Yeah, yeah. And it was January too. So in Colorado, we're cold, bundled up, and we're walking around in t-shirts.
How much does it cost, though, to book that much time with an artist, especially one with a reputation like that?
Yeah. One thing I've gotten really lucky with is each artist is definitely different, but
Mhm.
Nathan was a friend of mine. And so I was one of his biggest first pieces when he was establishing, but it was about five to $600 a session.
Okay.
When I was Travis, he also gave me a deal because I was Matt's
Yeah.
girlfriend, and he was about five to $600 as well. And then Jason Oz is the guy who finished up and did the rest of my arm because then we hit the pandemic, right? And tattoo shops, they got shut down for a while. So
Yes.
that fall in September of 19, Travis actually came out to the Denver Tattoo Convention and he
Uh-huh.
wanted to put my owl in, but there's different small black and white, full body black and white, and all these different classes. And he wanted to put my owl in one and compete. So I was like, yeah, I'll do that. And it was my first time going to a tattoo convention. And it was very eye-opening. People literally fly all over to come be tattooed and guest spot. So when I was there, he was able to do 3 of my pine cones. So I had my 3 pine cones and my owl, and then the pandemic hit, and Travis set me up with Jason, and he's like, "I know this guy, he's very similar style, that's realism, black and white." And so I reached out to Jason, who at the time was at Old Laramie Street Tattoo in Denver, and set up a consultation with him. He gave me a little discount too because of Travis referring me. So I've gotten lucky for that. I think I was paying around 600 for Jason's day. But I also think when you get into those, he knew I was going to be back. This isn't going to be a one and done. So it was, I gotta think, I did one, two, three, four more sessions with Jason to finish up my sleeve.
I tell you,
So
you can go and spend a few nights in a city somewhere, New York City, you're going to drop that in 2 days, right? Why don't you get something that's going to be on your body that you absolutely love? And listeners, Savannah sent a video over. When you see the owl and the pine cones, it's jaw-droppingly beautiful. It really is, Savannah. Just gorgeous. So is that the video that he took
mhm.
at the tattoo convention?
Yeah, yeah. It's so funny trying to get footage of it now when it's that big. When I was first starting it was my foot smashed. Like there's a picture now.
Wonderful. And then before we hit record, we were yabbering away because on Savannah's sleeve to the right of the owl and the pine cones and the pine needles, the underside of her left arm is a beautiful front view of a VW bus. Talk a little bit about that VW bus.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Volkswagen bus is huge in my family. My grandpa Len, he drove one for all the time. It's kind of crazy thinking about it now. He would drive it up to Vale on I-70, which is like, what? And he always had this motto, you're not in traffic when you are the traffic. And that's true. Everyone's waiting on you. But he drove it for a long time and I got passed around my family. And in 2017, it was given to me from my oldest cousin, Aaron. He took it to college in Jackson Hole, and which also blows my mind driving it up to Jackson Hole, Wyoming. But he
Because
has funny
heat,
stories about it.
yeah, heat in VW buses or bugs is always sketchy.
Yes. Oh, very. There was some days he said, like, no, there's a storm coming in Jackson Hole. So he would just leave it running all night. He's like, I had to go to work. I don't know if it would turn on. There's probably so many hours on the engine. But fast forward to now, I towed it home with my dad and we've been restoring it together for the past 6.5 years. And now it's running on the road. I have a whole separate Instagram page I named him Lenny after my grandpa Len. So all
Okay,
my
so
friends know my bus as Lenny.
we want the handle. Is it a private account or is it public?
No, it's a public account, so you can
So what's the
definitely
handle?
check it out. It's Lenny VW for Volkswagen, like VW.
So
Type,
Lenny
yep, and then
VW.
VW, and then type TYPE, and then the number two, because
Oh
it's a
my
type
gosh.
two.
As
Yeah,
as someone who has owned many VW bugs, VW was always my favorite name for it. I'm just going to go and get that Instagram handle right now and search it out and make sure I have it in the links, everybody, because I know some of you are going to be VW bus curious.
yes.
So
It's so fun, and it's a really great community too. And then I think I sent you this one. This is my grandpa Len's signature, his L.
yes,
Um,
I saw that signature.
but it says Lou because that's my family nickname. They've always called me Lou, so I got this written. But he was a businessman, very successful. Seeing his handwriting, that is something that we have totally, it's gone. It was so beautiful. I love seeing his letters, and I just remember looking at it like this needs to be preserved somehow. It was again another session I was with Jason. I'm like, "Do you think you could do a little like hand jammy right here?" And he's like, "Whatever."
And
He was up for anything.
what part of the
What's that?
body is it on, Savannah?
It's right on my hand right here on the
Oh, I
side of
see
my
it.
palm.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's at
Yeah,
the end of the big sleeve on the left arm there.
it's the end of my sleeve. Yep, right on the end
Oh,
of it. So it's
signatures are so powerful. We had Priyad Kahari on episode, it might have been episode 7, everyone. Remember? She got an infinity sign with her dad's name, but her husband got a tattoo with his dad's signature. And we've heard a lot about this, getting someone's signature tattooed because the memory is so poignant
yeah,
of that
I mean,
person. And it just brings back their wisdom, their vibe, their deliciousness, everything about them that they shared. And of course, the love that they brought to the world as well. It's a wonderful touchstone. I love that. You have so much beautiful art. Is there any other pieces you want to talk about?
I mean, you covered all my good ones. I really appreciate it.
Well, yeah, you've been getting tattoos for quite a while now. And of course, so many of folks in your generation have tattoos, but what do you think about how we can do a better job at destigmatizing tattoos? What do you think needs to change?
That's a good question. I remember when I started getting them, it was always, "Well, how are you gonna get a job with that?" And I was like, it's gonna be fine." But I think it's really shifted, and especially with the pandemic, I think it's how we show up as a worker or as an employee, value you bring outside of your appearance, I
Yeah.
feel like is something that we're changing and as generations come because people can show up with cool tattoos and cool hair and piercings, and it's not seen as like a you need to be cookie cutter. I think we're doing a good job in changing it and kind of moving the needle, but I understand professions where it's still not allowed, but I think we're doing a good job and shifting it as this I'm ruining my body is like wow, it's beautiful artwork, and that's when I started to get my parents I feel more on board. The first time I showed them my owl, my dad was just like wow, that
It,
is
it,
really cool. I was
it
like,
is such a
I
work of art. I
know.
mean, it would look fine
Yeah.
on your wall, but guess what? When it's on your body, you get to have it with
Yeah.
you every
Mhm.
single day, everywhere you glow, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So I think it's been cool to see the shift even within my parents, and now my dad's got a tattoo of his own. So
Eh. Well,
yeah.
listeners, this is the purpose behind this podcast is to talk about the stories behind folks' body art, but also to encourage more folks to ask someone, would they be willing to tell them their ink story? And it really does create connection and ignite conversations that go beyond the surface, which is so important. So, listeners, if you've asked someone recently to share their ink story with you, let us know in the comments wherever you're tuning in right now or over on Instagram, and let us know how it went. Or you can leave a message on the website and I'll share it with everybody that way. It'd just be so wonderful for us to connect with each other in a different way and ask folks why they got that piece of art on their body. I know the stories will open your heart, open your mind, and you'll say, wow, that felt great. Savanna, I'm just so blown away by the beautiful artwork that you have, your generosity and sharing your beautiful body art stories. Listeners, be sure to follow Your Ink Story on Instagram at Tell Me Your Ink Story to see images of Savanna's ink. All right. You can always hop on over to TikTok as well. I'll have the reel over there. But also, we'll have a guest page on the website for Savanna. So you can follow her everywhere you glow. I will have Lenny VW Type 2 Instagram link in the show notes as well. So we can go there. Savanna, I am so grateful that you hopped on here to share your beautiful ink stories with us. I'm genuinely grateful for your inspirational insights about the art of tattoos and the heart behind your tattoos. I know you have helped us connect more deeply with each other, and your stories are fascinating. And oh my gosh, I'm so grateful that you got through that accident and you're here sharing your amazing energy and vibe with all of us still to this day.
Yes, thank you so much, Andy. This has been so much fun, and I've enjoyed sharing it. And I feel like you and I could talk for hours. There's such a fun spirit. It's been really enjoyable, and I love the podcast. I think it's interesting. Everyone's story is different. Every journey is, even if it is the same tattoo, it's got a different meaning and it holds a different value for everyone. So it's very cool to hear what that looks like for everyone.
Aw, thank you, Savannah. Everyone, I'm wishing you an inspirational day everywhere you glow. And until next time, I'm blowing you kisses from Boston. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Thank you for listening to this episode of Your Ink Story. Please rate and review this podcast wherever you are tuning in. And if this episode inspired you, please share it so we can all feel more connected through our common humanity and lived experiences. If you or someone you know would like to share a meaningful ink story on the podcast, please send me an email, andy@yourinkstory.com, along with a brief description. Feel free to share your thoughts about this episode via a voicemail message by visiting yourinkstory.com. And when you get to the website, just tap the podcast mic icon located in the lower right-hand corner of the screen and leave your message. Until next time, I'm wishing you a delicious day everywhere you glow. Cheers.